A country made up of more than 7,000 islands should not still have places that feel completely undiscovered. Yet here we are. Welcome back to Miles and Moments. Somewhere out there are landscapes so strange, so beautiful, and so untouched that even experienced travelers stop mid-sentence trying to explain them. Not because they lack words, but because what they saw doesn't quite fit into anything familiar. And the funny part is, most people will never even know these places exist. Travel content usually shows you the same highlights over and over again. The same beaches, the same viewpoints, the same must-see lists that somehow everyone has already seen. But beyond all that repetition, there's another layer of travel most people never reach. Places hidden in plain sight, quietly existing far away from the usual routes. Today is different. We're counting down 10 locations that feel almost unreal. Some look like they belong on another planet. Some are so naturally perfect they don't seem natural at all. And a few carry stories that make you question how they've stayed under the radar for so long. As we move through this list, one thing becomes very clear. The most extraordinary places are not always the most famous ones. In fact, sometimes the less people talk about them, the more incredible they become. And just when you think you've seen the most beautiful place possible, wait for number one. It's the kind of destination that doesn't just end the list. It changes how you think about travel entirely. Let's begin. Number 10, Kayangan Lake. If water could win beauty contests, Kayangan Lake would probably be accused of having an unfair advantage. Located on Coron Island in Palawan, Kayangan Lake is often celebrated as one of the cleanest and clearest lakes in the Philippines. The journey begins with a steep climb up a series of steps, which briefly convinces visitors they may have underestimated their fitness levels. Fortunately, the reward arrives quickly. At the summit sits one of the most photographed viewpoints in the country, overlooking a stunning mix of emerald waters, limestone cliffs, and hidden coves that seem carefully arranged for maximum dramatic effect. Beyond the viewpoint lies the lake itself, enclosed by towering karst formations that rise from the water like giant stone guardians. The lake's remarkable clarity allows visibility several meters below the surface, revealing submerged rock formations and creating the illusion that boats and swimmers are floating through air rather than water. What makes Kayangan particularly fascinating is its unique composition. The lake contains a mixture of freshwater and saltwater, creating a rare environment influenced by both rainwater and the nearby sea. Beneath the surface, the landscape continues with underwater caves and limestone formations that attract adventurous divers from around the world. Despite its growing popularity, Kayangan still feels extraordinary because it combines several natural wonders in one place. Crystal clear water, dramatic cliffs, geological intrigue, and breathtaking scenery all come together with effortless confidence. Some destinations become famous because of clever marketing. Kayangan Lake became famous because nature simply left very little room for improvement. Number 9, El Nido, Palawan. Some places become famous because they're beautiful. El Nido became famous because it almost seems unfair to the rest of the planet. Located on the northern tip of Palawan, El Nido is surrounded by more than 40 limestone islands and islets, rising dramatically from the sea like giant stone skyscrapers designed by nature after a particularly ambitious brainstorming session. These towering karst formations, some hundreds of feet high, guard hidden lagoons, secret beaches, sea caves, and turquoise waters so clear they often make boats appear to be floating in midair. The area forms part of the Bacuit Archipelago, one of the most biologically diverse marine ecosystems in the Philippines. Beneath the surface lies an equally impressive world of coral reefs, colorful fish, sea turtles, and marine life that turns every snorkeling trip into a live nature documentary. What makes El Nido particularly fascinating is how much of its beauty remains concealed. Many of its most spectacular locations can only be reached by boat through narrow openings in the cliffs. One moment you're surrounded by towering rock walls, and the next you're entering a hidden lagoon that feels completely detached from the outside world. Despite its growing popularity, El Nido still manages to inspire the same reaction from first-time visitors. A brief period of silence followed by an urgent need to take photographs from every possible angle. Not that the photos ever quite capture it. El Nido isn't simply a beach destination. It's a reminder that nature occasionally decides to create something so spectacular that even the most seasoned travelers struggle to find the right words for it. Number 8, Calangaman Island. Calangaman Island is proof that sometimes the simplest landscapes leave the biggest impression. No towering mountains, no dramatic cliffs, no ancient ruins, just a slender strip of white sand surrounded by water, so clear it occasionally looks like the ocean has been upgraded to a higher resolution. Located off the coast of Leyte, Calangaman is a small island that has become famous for its spectacular sandbars stretching from both ends like long white brushstrokes painted across the sea. The island's name comes from the Visayan word langam, meaning bird, because its shape resembles a bird in flight when viewed from above. Nature apparently decided ordinary island shapes were no longer sufficient. What makes Calangaman remarkable is its sense of openness. Unlike many tropical destinations packed with resorts, shops, and endless construction projects, the island remains largely undeveloped. Palm trees sway gently in the sea breeze, the shoreline remains beautifully preserved, and the horizon seems to continue forever in every direction. The surrounding waters are equally impressive. Calm, crystal-clear conditions make swimming, snorkeling, and kayaking particularly popular, while vibrant coral reefs nearby support a variety of marine life. Beneath the surface, the ecosystem is every bit as captivating as the scenery above it. Yet perhaps the island's greatest luxury is space. Space to walk, to relax, and to appreciate a coastline that hasn't been buried beneath concrete and souvenir stands. Calangaman doesn't overwhelm visitors with attractions. Instead, it quietly demonstrates how breathtaking simplicity can be when nature gets everything exactly right. Number 7. Siquijor Island. Siquijor has spent centuries building a reputation that is equal parts tropical paradise and mystery novel. Depending on who you ask, it's either one of the Philippines' most beautiful islands or a place where strange stories refuse to die. Most visitors eventually discover it's a little bit of both. Located in the central Visayas region, Siquijor has long been associated with folklore, traditional healing practices, and tales of magic passed down through generations. For years, those legends kept some travelers away. Ironically, they may be one of the reasons the island has remained so wonderfully unspoiled. Beyond the myths lies an island overflowing with natural beauty. Waterfalls cascade through lush forests, hidden caves wind beneath the landscape, and white sand beaches stretch along a coastline that feels refreshingly relaxed. Cambugahay Falls, in particular, has become famous for its turquoise pools and rope swings that bring out everyone's inner 12-year-old. What surprises many visitors is how quickly Siquijor changes their plans. People often arrive intending to stay for a day or two, and somehow end up extending their trip. The island moves at its own pace, completely uninterested in modern schedules and productivity goals. Perhaps that's the real magic of Siquijor. Not spells, potions, or ancient legends, but an atmosphere so peaceful and captivating that leaving becomes much harder than expected. Number 6. Apo Reef. Apo Reef is one of those places that quietly reminds you how little of our planet most people actually see. While millions of travelers search for paradise above the water, one of the Philippines' greatest wonders is thriving just below the surface. Located off the coast of Occidental Mindoro, Apo Reef Natural Park covers roughly 34 square kilometers and is recognized as the second-largest contiguous coral reef system in the world after Australia's Great Barrier Reef. That's an extraordinary distinction for a place many international travelers have never even heard of. Beneath the waves lies an underwater city bustling with life. Hundreds of coral species create a colorful landscape that supports sea turtles, reef sharks, rays, groupers, and countless tropical fish. The reef functions like a giant marine apartment complex where every resident somehow found a way to live in harmony without endless meetings and paperwork. Visibility here can often exceed 30 meters, making it a dream destination for divers and snorkelers. The water is so clear that exploring the reef sometimes feels less like swimming and more like floating through a living nature documentary. What makes Apo Reef particularly remarkable is its relative isolation. Reaching it requires effort, which naturally filters out casual visitors and helps preserve its fragile ecosystem. The result is an environment that still feels wild, healthy, and refreshingly untouched. Apo Reef isn't simply a destination. It's a powerful reminder that some of the most spectacular landscapes on Earth aren't found on mountains or coastlines, but hidden beneath the surface, quietly carrying on with business as usual while the rest of the world looks the other way. Number 5. Mount Pinatubo Crater Lake. Mount Pinatubo is one of the most remarkable comeback stories in nature. In 1991, it produced one of the largest volcanic eruptions of the 20th century, sending ash more than 30 kilometers into the atmosphere and dramatically altering landscapes across the Philippines. Today, the same volcano attracts visitors for a completely different reason: a stunning crater lake that looks almost impossibly peaceful. Located roughly 90 kilometers northwest of Manila, the volcano's massive caldera gradually filled with rainwater after the eruption, creating a striking turquoise lake surrounded by steep volcanic walls. The contrast is extraordinary. A place once associated with immense destructive power now feels calm, silent, and almost meditative. Nature has a habit of reinventing itself, often with far greater creativity than anyone expects. Reaching the crater is part of the experience. Travelers cross rugged terrain shaped by ancient lahar flows before trekking through valleys and rocky landscapes that still bear the fingerprints of the eruption. The journey feels less like a typical hike and more like an expedition across a world still recovering and evolving. What makes Mount Pinatubo so fascinating is the story hidden beneath its beauty. Every cliff, ridge, and layer of volcanic rock tells part of a dramatic geological history spanning thousands of years. Standing beside the crater lake, it's hard not to appreciate the irony. One of nature's most violent events ultimately created one of the Philippines' most beautiful destinations. Not bad for a volcano that once made global headlines for all the wrong reasons. Number 4. Cresta de Gallo. Some islands impress visitors with luxury resorts, beachfront restaurants, and endless activities. Cresta de Gallo takes the opposite approach. It strips away almost everything and somehow becomes even more unforgettable. Located in the province of Romblon, this small, remote island is surrounded by dazzling turquoise water and ringed by brilliant white sand that seems to glow under the tropical sun. The island is relatively tiny, but what it lacks in size it more than compensates for in sheer beauty. From above, the contrast between the bright sand and the deep blue sea looks like something designed for a travel magazine cover rather than everyday reality. One of Cresta de Gallo's most distinctive features is its long sandbar that stretches elegantly into the surrounding ocean. Depending on the tide, it can appear almost like a pathway leading directly into the horizon. Nature occasionally enjoys showing off, and this is one of those moments. Unlike many popular beach destinations, development here remains minimal. There are no towering hotels competing with the scenery, no traffic noise, and very few distractions. The soundtrack is mostly wind, waves, and the occasional reminder that civilization exists somewhere far beyond the horizon. The surrounding waters are equally impressive, offering excellent conditions for swimming, snorkeling, and simply appreciating the remarkable clarity of the sea. Visibility is often so good that the water feels more like transparent glass than an actual ocean. Cresta de Gallo is proof that paradise doesn't always need dramatic cliffs or famous landmarks. Sometimes all it needs is pristine sand, crystal clear water, and the confidence to keep things beautifully simple. Number 3. Sohoton Cove. Some destinations impress you immediately. Sohoton Cove takes a different approach. It reveals itself piece by piece, rewarding curiosity at every turn like nature's version of a treasure hunt. Located within the islands of Basi and Samar, this remarkable natural wonder is a maze of hidden lagoons, limestone cliffs, caves, and narrow waterways carved over millions of years. The towering rock walls rise dramatically from emerald green waters, creating a landscape that feels almost too cinematic to be real. If a movie director needed a setting for a lost world, Sohoton Cove would probably save them a great deal of scouting time. Getting here is part of the adventure. Small boats navigate through winding passages and beneath natural rock formations, leading visitors into secluded areas that seem completely disconnected from the outside world. Around nearly every corner is another cave entrance, hidden lagoon, or unexpected viewpoint waiting to be discovered. The cave systems themselves add another layer of fascination. Some contain impressive rock formations sculpted slowly by water over thousands of years, proving once again that geology is surprisingly talented when given enough time. What makes Sohoton Cove especially remarkable is that it offers the same sense of wonder people often seek in more famous tropical destinations, but with far fewer crowds. The result is a place that still feels genuinely exploratory, where every turn brings the excitement of finding something few travelers ever get to see. Number 2. Coron, Barracuda Lake. Coron is filled with spectacular destinations, but Barracuda Lake stands apart because it manages to be beautiful, mysterious, and slightly confusing all at the same time. Hidden among the dramatic limestone cliffs of Coron Island in Palawan, the lake is famous for its crystal-clear water and unusual underwater environment. Reaching it requires a short climb over jagged limestone rocks before descending into a secluded basin surrounded by towering cliffs. The scenery alone is impressive enough, but the real surprise begins beneath the surface. Barracuda Lake is known for a rare phenomenon called thermoclines, where layers of water at dramatically different temperatures sit on top of one another. Divers can experience water temperatures shifting from around 28 degrees Celsius to over 38 degrees Celsius within just a few meters. One moment you're comfortably swimming, and the next it feels as though nature quietly adjusted the thermostat without asking permission. The lake's underwater landscape is equally remarkable. Instead of colorful coral reefs, divers encounter towering limestone formations, rocky walls, and eerie underwater caverns that create an atmosphere closer to exploring another planet than a tropical lake. Visibility is often exceptional, allowing every detail of the submerged terrain to stand out with remarkable clarity. Despite its name, sightings of barracudas are actually rare. The lake reportedly earned its title after a barracuda skeleton was discovered there years ago. In a twist of irony, the fish became famous largely by not being present. Barracuda Lake perfectly captures what makes Coron so extraordinary, a place where geology, history, and nature combine to create experiences that feel almost impossible to explain until you've seen them yourself. Number 1. Batad Rice Terraces. At first glance, the Batad Rice Terraces look like an enormous natural amphitheater carved into the mountains. Then you learn they were built by human hands, and suddenly the entire landscape becomes even more astonishing. Nestled high in the mountains of Ifugao province, the Batad Rice Terraces are believed to be more than 2,000 years old. Long before modern machinery, power tools, or construction equipment existed, generations of Ifugao people carefully carved these terraces into steep mountainsides using simple hand tools and an extraordinary amount of determination. It's the kind of project that would make most modern construction managers nervously review their timelines. What makes Batad unique is its dramatic amphitheater shape. Layer upon layer of terraces curve around the mountainside, following the natural contours of the landscape with remarkable precision. An intricate irrigation system, fed by mountain forests above, continues to supply water much as it has for centuries, proving that sustainable engineering is not exactly a new invention. Reaching Batad requires effort, which may explain why it remains less visited than many of the Philippines' more famous attractions. Yet that journey is part of the experience. The terraces aren't just beautiful, they're a living testament to human ingenuity, resilience, and cooperation across generations. In a country filled with extraordinary natural wonders, Batad stands apart because it represents something equally powerful: what people can achieve when they work with nature instead of against it. That is what makes it the most remarkable hidden destination in the Philippines. And that's the journey. From untouched islands and surreal landscapes to places that feel almost impossible to believe still exist in today's world. Each destination on this list is a reminder that Earth still has more secrets than we often give it credit for. If there's one thing to take away from this countdown, it's this: the most unforgettable places aren't always the ones filling travel brochures. They're often the ones quietly waiting, far from the crowds, just asking to be noticed. If you enjoyed this journey, thank you for watching and spending your time here with Miles and Moments. It truly means a lot. And if this video made you curious about the world, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more travel stories like this, and share it with someone who still believes there are places left to discover. Until the next moment, keep exploring.